Greetings, Precalc students. This is Steve Earth here, and I had a request to show a project I used to do in Precalc. It's the Kitten Explosion project on GSP. So let me just briefly show you how this works. So this green circle here is a Ferris wheel, and there's an evil kitten here on the Ferris wheel. Clearly an evil kitten, if you look at the picture of him there. Now there's a number of things you can control about this Ferris wheel. You can control the radius, you can control how fast the kitten goes around the wheel, you can control where the wheel is, and you can also control the starting position. So, and this works in a typical way. I can start the kitten here, or I can type in a particular value that I want it to be at. Say, oh, I want you to start off at 20 degrees, and then I set it, and now it goes to exactly 20. So this is the reading of the angle, this is the position of the angle, and actually I want to start this at 0. So let me put in 0 here. Okay. So in case anyone's curious about my initial defaults right now, which I'm actually not going to change, I have the wheel centered at 30,5 as it reads right there, and again I could drag that around and change it, and the radius of my wheel is set to 6. And I'm just going to start the kitten at 0, and as you'll see I'm just going to start over here. If you'll notice there's a button down here. I actually don't want you to see that button quite yet, but when I click it, the kitten goes happily around the Ferris wheel. Okay, so let me reset it. If you also notice up here, it gives the coordinates of where the kitten is. Oh, but there's also the coordinates of this bomb. Alright, well, what's all this about? Well, let me pan out a little bit. And as you can see in this corner of the screen, at the origin, there's a cannon. And just like you get to control everything about the Ferris wheel, about the speed of the wheel, and the radius, and the center, and the initial position of the cat, so you also control everything about this cannon. So now it might seem to make more sense to control the position of the cannon as opposed to the position of the Ferris wheel, which would actually be static. But the way I wrote it is that the cannon always stays there at the origin, and you move the Ferris wheel. In reality, it'd be the other way around. But okay, so the things you get to control about the cannon are the angle that it can shoot at, and if I had to write it over again, I might actually have it where you can drag the picture of the cannon to change the angle, as opposed to this thing over here, but oh well, too late. You can also control the gunpowder amount, and this is basically the magnitude of the initial velocity when it shoots when the bomb shoots out of the cannon there. So you can drag that, and all these things can also be set. So you can say, here, let me just little zoom in. So it says right now the firing angle is, some crazy angle that I had it set at because I just dragged it around. But if I wanted a particular thing, I could just type it in here, say, oh, I want there to be an exactly 50-degree angle, and then I would click the button, and it moved to be exactly 50, so that's the current reading. Okay, you notice these other buttons here that say hit angle, so I'll explain about that. And there's also, in fact, for everything that you can set, sorry it's so shaky, I don't actually, oops, let's not cover the lens. So, as I don't actually know how to record directly from the monitor, so I'm just kind of holding up an iPad in front of my screen. So, I'm going to have to edit that part out. So, just trying to get it to focus a little better. Well, so there are these buttons here that will actually make the angle and the amount of gunpowder and all that be something very specific. So, well, what's going on here? So here's the idea. I'm going to have to pan out a lot more here so you can see this. Can I pan out enough? Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. There's a button here that says test fire. So I'm going to push that button and watch what happens. Okay, well, unfortunately, the evil kitten lived, so let me go ahead and reset that. Okay, so you can adjust how much gunpowder you use, which would, yeah, I guess I'll make it be smaller. It takes it a while to update because it turns out there's a lot of calculations going on behind the scenes. Actually, just the firing isn't actually the hard part that's doing the calculations. It's the hitting part, which I haven't shown you, that creates all the calculations. But let me do a test right so you can see the difference. So now there's a lot less gunpowder. So, how lame. Okay, so let me do the reset there. And I actually prefer the magnitude. There's no particular reason why you had to set it this way, but I'm going to set the magnitude to be 3.666 repeating, just because I know that the arc looks nice for that one. But you can set it up however you want. So, okay, so the first part of the project is just to be able to build this. So build something where when you start it, the kitten goes around the Ferris wheel and the cannonball shoots, and you don't have to do anything fancy like I do with the little rainbow trail, just to show it's the, the bomb of happiness and goodness, right? Because it's trying to kill the evil kitten. But you don't necessarily have to do that, just as long as you can see the cannonball going in the arc. And that's not a random parabola. It's actually set up to be exactly according to the angle that was set. So, like, if I make my angle way too steep, so that's an angle of, well, you guys can't read it very well, but it's like 86 something degrees. So this is not going to be very exciting, but I'll go ahead and fire the cannon. And kitten's happily going all on its way, and there it comes down, and obviously a miss. Alright, so now comes the hard part of the project. So as if this wasn't enough, with all the different things you have to control. So there's also buttons for each of the things you get control. There's a button called the hit angle button, or the hit magnitude button, or the hit radius button. So, and what these do is they will set the cannon so it'll actually hit. Now, some of them have more than one. So this first one says first hit angle. So I'm just going to click this and watch what happens when this time when I fire the cannon. Okay, I meant to click. Apparently I missed. There we go. Boom! So I just want to point out that the two dots, so there's a little red dot in the center of the cannonball, a little red dot just between the eyes of the kitten, and those are totally coincident with each other right now. So it was a total hit. So, but notice there's a second hit button here. So let me reset this. And there's a different angle here that works. So let's go ahead and fire it this time. Watch what happens. Back up enough so you can see the kitten moving at the same time. Oh no! It's gonna miss the kitten. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So, world is safe. Kitten is no more. So that's basically the project. So you make a kitten going around in a Ferris wheel where you can control the placement of the Ferris wheel and the size of it and the speed of it. And then you control a cannon over here with the angle of the initial placement as well as the initial force here. And you animate it so that it goes through, and you make buttons so that you can make it so it's like, all right, for this given angle and for this given Ferris wheel, here's the amount of gunpowder you need. Now, it turns out there's not always a solution. So if you do that, it turns out, I mean, I guess I could show you an example with mine, but it goes off from the parabola forever. So now, in order to be able to do this project, you do have to know about sinusoidal motion and projectile motion and parametric equations, and all the stuff that you learned last year in Algebra 2 and Geometry about, loci and stuff like that, because that's how I did it. So the hard part is figuring out how to make it hit. So how do you change the magnitude and change the angle or change the radius of the Ferris wheel? That's a little unrealistic. In reality, how would you change the Ferris wheel? But or change really what you'd be doing if we change the center of the Ferris wheel, you're actually backing the cannon up or moving the cannon forward. But okay, well, that's it, and enjoy. Bye. Have a good year in Precalc.